This is CityCast Philly. I'm Trenae Nuri, and here's what Philly's talking about. Before we get into today's show, me and Siani got to tell you about something going on. We've been doing some summer cleaning, and we've got a lot of swag in our closet that you can claim if you become a CityCast Philly neighbor. It is our Neighbors Make Philly tote bag. It's a sturdy canvas bag. You can use it for everything, like grocery shopping, so you don't have to pay that 10-cent a bag fee. It's perfect if you go to the library or the farmer's market. I even took my bag with me when I went to New Orleans this summer, and I used it when I was exploring the French Quarter and shopping around. So it is the perfect bag for just about anything. So just for $10 a month or $100 a year, you can become a CityCast Philly neighbor. You can get this tote bag and other perks that we've got lined up for you in the next couple of weeks, really. So sign up right now at membership.citycast.fm/Philly to join and get your bag.
My bag goes around everywhere with me wherever I go. If I have a what's in my bag moment, I have a CD player in there. Yes, CDs, my books, my journals. It's just really handy to just go around the city, show a little bit of city pride wherever I go. Because I love to tagline Neighbors Make Philly, because that's what it's all about. You know, we have, a rich history and art scene, but everything that makes Philly what it is the people who live in it. So
absolutely,
if you identify with that and you identify with the mission that CityCast Philly is doing, bringing people together and making a better Philadelphia, that's why you should join our Neighbors program.
That is Siani Colon, our creative producer. Siani, you know what? I've also used this bag as a conversation starter. One of my neighbors saw me toting it and was like, "Where did you get that bag?" And I was like, "Oh, well, hi, I'm Trenae, the host of CityCast Philly." And then it led us to a conversation, and yeah, it's like the perfect conversation starter too. So head over to membership.citycast.fm/Philly right now to grab your bag. Conrad, you host walking tours in the city, and I've noticed that you also carry a tote bag. What is in that thing?
What's not in it? I mean, the truth is, I've never owned a car. I've lived in the city my whole life. I always have a backpack, and in the backpack is a tote bag, because when you don't own a car, you have to go to the grocery store like 4 times a week, and you never know what errands you need to run. And that little backpack gets filled very quickly. So in my backpack, I always have my recording device, my microphone in case, I walk across some street art that I want to make a video about. But usually it's just for backup, in case I need to grab something on the way home, which I usually do.
Nice. And that's Conrad Benner, founder and creator of the Streets Department podcast. And you also have been running the Streets Department excursions. Tell us about what you've been up to this summer.
Yeah, I've been hosting them since 2014. TEDx Philly invited me to curate a walking tour on my 4th anniversary. And I thought, let me try this. And been doing it regularly since 2017. I love it. It's a great opportunity to take Philadelphians out to see a part of Philadelphia that they don't often see. There are mural arts tours. There are tours that focus in on different sorts of public art. And my tours sort of look at all the art in the public space, including going into some independent art spaces. So every tour is different. I'm really, they're fun opportunities to go around and explore this really important part of Philadelphia. And it's always changing too. That's what I find really exciting.
How do you decide which stops to make on your tour?
Sure. Well, as you might know too, everyone has to have 40 jobs these days. I also
That's true.
I also work part-time at Mural Arts, and I really love that job. So as part of that job, I get to do some really cool curatorial work. It's been a fabulous opportunity. Outside of that, I've done other curatorial work around the city for different folks. So, our next tour, the one coming up in September, is one that's really special to me. Not all of them are this close to the work that I do, but this one is in particular. This tour is going to explore some murals that I curated in the Fashion District, otherwise known as the Gallery, which is where I had my first job at Old Navy when I was 16.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So in 2019, they invited me to curate 10 murals down in the basement there. We did that. Also looking at some really cool work that Mural Arts did this year with Center City District. They work with local artists, realizing that 2026 was a big year and that there's all this interest on East Market Street. And so they worked with local artists to install art in windows. They worked with Aloysius McIlwain to do a really incredible, huge mural at 10th and Market Street that I'm sure everyone has seen. It was all over my social media pages.
Yes.
PPA worked with Center City District, and I think the city to bring back like the bus station finally, and did a bunch of murals around that. So the next tour is East Market, and looking at all this really cool work from about 5th to City Hall on Market Street. Former Greyhound, now I don't know what it's called now, just bus station, yeah.
Yeah,
Probably
former
PPA,
Greyhound bus station.
yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so if you are interested in Conrad's tour, Conrad, I'm going to plug it for you. streetsdepartment.com/tours. Well, you know what? Speaking of tours, Philadelphia is getting a new walking tour, and this walking tour is going to take people around Old City. So I read in the Inquirer that Philly is piloting its own Freedom Trail Tour. So a Freedom Trail Tour is what they do up in Boston.
Oh, no.
Right? the other city up there. This Freedom Trail in Boston is about 2.5 miles. It takes folks to about 16 different historic sites in their city. So you're exploring their version of the American Revolution and things like that. But Visit Philly wants to do its own version of a Freedom Trail. So now through Labor Day, it is beta testing a 21-stop self-guided walking tour through Old City, and it's calling it Path to Democracy. So participants, you're going to see on the sidewalks like vinyl, like gems almost, kind of like mosaic art tiles, similar to what you might see at the Philadelphia Magic Gardens, which is pretty iconic to Philadelphia. And on these tiles on the sidewalks is a QR code. You're going to scan the QR code and you're going to be able to hear like interesting facts and audio about the historic site that you're looking at. So for example, the tour takes you to the Betsy Ross house. It takes you to the Arch Street Meeting House, all these various sites in Old City. Conrad, when you do your walking tours, do you like plan for pictures and videos, right? Because I like to share like my experiences on social media, like, oh, look at this cool thing I did. This year in February, I went on the 1838 Black Metropolis tour during Black History Month. And I got to learn about people that I basically never heard of. We walked at sites that I've always passed by in historic Philly, but I just didn't know some of the historical context. So I was like, I want to share this with everyone. And so do you like build in like time to like capture stuff for like photos and videos?
That's a wonderful observation, because I think a lot of my tours are focused on like the visual arts, so like murals and public art. And usually what people will do will take a quick photo. But yeah, what you're talking about and what this like Freedom Tour sounds like is really giving people a lot of information, a lot of which they might not have known before. So yeah, I wonder, it sounds like if this is connected with Visit Philly, it's a great opportunity to like have people be there and in the moment. You know, we have thousands, hundreds of thousands of years of oral tradition, right? Like we're used to like hearing information and taking it, but also like having that resource after the fact. If there's a website or a podcast people could go listen to reference, because how many times on these tours do you hear something, think, oh, I want to remember that for later. Maybe you make a quick note, but then you forget where to get that information from again. So yeah, on my tours, it's a lot of like quick photos in front of a mural. And then a lot of these artists are living, so they can go follow them on Instagram if they want to, you know, find out more. But for these history tours, yeah, I wonder if Visit Philly or whoever's working behind the scenes here will create a place where people can go after the fact to revisit that history or remember more. Yeah, dig deeper.
I think that point about referencing is a really good one, Conrad, because I'll be honest, when I read QR code, I immediately sighed. I personally, you know, I'm tired of all the QR code menus and such. Just everything has to be a QR code. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I wonder, like, when it comes to people who are not, you know, as tech savvy that want to interact with it, or, you know, again, like, you know, I think there needs to be a matter of maintenance, because what if that QR code is covered up with something else, since this seems to be on the ground and easily accessible, and you don't want people scanning that code and it directs them to somewhere that isn't at all the intention of the piece.
Oh, dang, Siani, that's a good point.
I'm sorry. Absolutely. I saw another TikTok. Sorry, I'm on my phone a lot. But it was like, God bless the boomers. Of course they fall for these scams. They lived in a high trust society and we like no longer have that. Like I would never scan a QR code like in the world. Like even at a restaurant, I'm not scanning a QR code. I've seen too many people being scammed going to the wrong website. It started, funny enough, going back to Boston. I saw it was a couple of years ago, the Boston parking meter, someone was putting a fake QR code over their QR codes and it was leading them to a website that looked like the place you go to pay for parking. People were entering their credit card information because it looked legit, but it was a scam website stealing their money. So totally agree there. Like I think there's a lot of hesitation on scanning a QR code that's just out in the street.
That is a horrifying example. And I've never thought about that happening in Philadelphia to that extent with how we're, advancing technology when it comes to parking. But yeah, so there are, things you want to be wary about. But I do think it is, as you said, like a great opportunity for people to continue that conversation after the fact. And especially with the design aspect as well, seeing some of the previews with the mosaic style, fitting right into what Philly's really known for with all these mosaics that decorate the city. And it's just a beautiful way to especially visualize some things that may not exist anymore.
I read in the Inquirer, columnist Stephanie Farr, she went on this Path to Democracy tour. And the tour does seem to lead you to both the QR codes and those blue historic plaques, which are really iconic. And I love reading about history on that. So I get a sense that y'all like more permanent installations that you can read or interact with versus virtual things.
I mean, I could go either way. I think the plaques that you see around the city are often a first step in like marking a history and in writing about and looking at public art for 15 years. Oftentimes you see murals or statues created years after those plaques go up because people want to feel the history a little bit more or see it depicted in a different way. But when it comes to these tours, I think, for me, it'd be as simple as at the end of the tour, giving people like a little business card that has like a website that they can go to reference the history again or a website. I'm just not scanning a random QR code on the street.
What spots in Old City do tourists or even locals seem to miss, you think?
I think especially for a tour like this, like let's not just explore, the history of the 1800s, but like let's look at more recent histories. I love that, Old City was a neighborhood, as I understand it, and again, I'm not a historian, but as I understand it, that in the 70s was, there was less going on there in the 70s. And a bunch of artists ended up moving into these former warehouse buildings and made it an art space. And then they created First Fridays to attract people there. And it's this really important history for Philadelphia. First Fridays in Old City started this like revolution of art here in the city that is a history that I think is important to tell. Also, on the Streets Department podcast in its first iteration a few years ago, was talking with Igna Saffron from the Philadelphia Inquirer, and I didn't know the history of how for the bicentennial, they really did a lot of destruction around Independence Mall there to build this like big green pathway. Growing up in Philly, I kind of just assumed it was always there. But to make Philadelphia more attractive to tourists for 76, they tore down all these buildings in the decade before to build this big open green grass area. I think telling that history is really important as well.
Thinking about spots missed on tours made me also think about when I was in high school and I took AP European history, and I struggled with that subject because I didn't quite understand what else in history was happening as I'm learning these topics, right? So if I'm learning about what's going on in Europe, well, what the hell was happening in China or what was happening in the Americas?
Yeah.
So if I could offer anything that sometimes gets missed in walking tours, at least for me, it's kind of the context of what other stories and what other sorts of things were happening at the time. So if I'm at the first U.S. Postal Office at Market Street and I'm learning about a new nation developing this new system, well, why did they develop the system? Tell me more about other things that were happening on Market Street. And I think that helps me just understand placement and understand history a little bit better. So help me to make those connections.
Yeah.
I like the idea of, being able to draw attention to the places that we no longer have access to, that no longer exist. Because, as Conrad said, we have torn down a lot of things in this city through the ages. It's a miracle that we do have the historical sites that are still standing in Old City. I do think about some other sites that no longer exist, and even just very early in their history. One spot, kind of taking it back to these colonial times, Pennsylvania Hall. If you're not familiar with that, it was built by the Anti-Slavery Society to hold abolitionist meetings. This was on 6th Street, kind of near where WHYY is today. And the reason why I say that is because it was destroyed in 3 days. So that, is an example of the type of conflict that was happening during the time, but as an example of what were the ideals that people had and were fighting for. Even if the building is no longer standing, their values still are today. And it just makes me think, using the mosaic design of this a pathway to democracy, being able to show to people what that means, because there is a historic marker around there. I do think it's easy to miss, and a lot of Philadelphians I know don't even know that this site was a thing. So I think, just how do we help people visualize all these different places that once stood in Philadelphia?
We've got more news after the break. Do you all know about the newish, at this point, it's been around for a year, the smart loading zones that are in the city, specifically in Center City?
No, tell me more. As someone who's never owned a car, I'm curious.
Right, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. Well, I'm pissed about it, Conrad, because
oh no, okay.
It is just another thing that I have to freaking worry about. Okay.
Oh, okay.
This is for Philly drivers and delivery truck drivers. If you plan on parking in Center City, make sure that you are registered for Curb Pass. Curb Pass is an app that allows you to temporarily park downtown in the new smart loading zones. So if you're not aware, the new smart loading zones are on the corners of Chestnut, Walnut, Sampson Street. You get charged 10 cents a minute, and you can stay for up to an hour. It's been around since May 2025, and yet people still don't know about it because PPA, the Philadelphia Parking Authority, has racked up $5 million in parking tickets because of this program.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
I'm like, should they just continue to not tell people and rack up more money? Are they getting more money from the tickets?
I read in a Billy Penn article about this program. There's been so many different human errors or just natural stuff that we do, and you don't realize that you're even in one of these smart loading zones because the signs themselves are so complicated to read. And if you were waiting for someone for 5 minutes, the automatic cameras that are monitoring these smart loading zones are going to take a picture of your car and the license plate.
I mean, my gut reaction to this is where did all these cameras come from all of a sudden? I have a lot of worry about that. What does that mean for everything? And then my second thought is everything's a design issue. Yeah, I agree with you, Trinae. Just putting up a bunch of new rules, changing the rules every once in a while. It sounds from what we're reading about this new system, most people are learning about the rules by getting a fine. So they're
a $51 fine.
Yeah, which that's a small bag of groceries now,
Right.
This is money that people don't have to play with these days,
So this loading zone thing, it's to prevent double parking. It's also to prevent blocking bus lanes and creating like challenges for cyclists to kind of like have to maneuver into like ongoing traffic. So I understand, but at the same time, it's like another app, another fear I have to like stress about.
It's another thing to download. It's you better hope that your phone is fully charged and isn't dead, because you're going to need that.
Yeah.
And then even with blocking the bus lanes, like we do have the cameras on the buses that have been really active in capturing people's cars. So you cannot be idle anywhere in Center City at this point.
I agree. I think like, would more people take public transit into Center City if they knew it would be like a quick, safe, reliable ride? Like, might you, if you're going between places, choose to do that? And yeah, if removing loading cars from the bus lanes makes the bus moves faster, like maybe you would use the bus more. If SEPTA the trains ran a little more reliably, and people felt good about using them, maybe they would use them more. I'm certainly like pro public transit, and it's frustrating. Like when, I only got my passport a few years ago, but like the more I travel, Mexico City, different places in Europe, like it's wild to see like cities be able to move tons of people very easily through their public transit systems in a way where like it wouldn't even be a thought for a person in that city to use a car to do basic errands. Cars obviously have a place in America. Unlike other places, it's unique here. We're a very car dependent country. And if you're a family, there's all reasons people need cars. I get it. But it would be nicer if the option was easier for you to say, you know what? I just want to take the bus into Center City. I know I can rely on it. I know it's going to be quick. It's affordable, XYZ, rather than, risking the fines. But I don't love the camera stuff.
Yeah. I was also thinking, like, have you ever seen those videos where like New Yorkers are trying to like move a couch? Like on the subway. It's just like some stuff is not going to work, right?
And everyone's like, different.
Right. And so it's like sometimes I need a car to like pick up, some stuff from a business or transport kids across the city to a sports game or whatever.
Even look, I have had a car once or twice. What confused me is like, sometimes you park and you don't have to pay for parking at that time. It's like a Sunday or something.
Yes.
And then you go to the machine to pay and it just seems like it's broken. And I'm like, what? Couldn't the machine just very easily say like, hey, parking's free right now?
Sometimes they do. Sometimes they do.
Okay.
Sometimes they do. And like if you are, what I've also noticed, like if you are trying to park on the left side of Walnut Street, like between 18th and 19th and Walnut, like next to Rittenhouse Square, I believe this is still true. There's like certain hours that you're allowed to park. And then once like peak travel time starts kicking up, you got to move your car.
Yeah.
So it gets so nuanced. And really, what really is challenging to navigate this system is that like any given street could have different rules.
I wonder though, like, so Center City has like hundreds of thousands of residents and like hundreds of thousands of people moving through it. If everyone's using our car, no one can get around. So like we do have to incentivize people using public transit. So if it works for you, like let's make that system as good as possible so that as many people that want to use it can use it. And then like I wonder what is the solution for the cars? Like is it, because I hear what you're saying, if it's a quick errand and there's only so many parking spots on Walnut Street, maybe it's incentivizing the parking garages somehow to have cheaper rates for people who do quick errands or something. I don't know. I wonder what the solution is there.
That would be amazing.
The problem too is like when it comes to the deliveries, because I know we're talking a lot about the like individual like resident driver who's being impacted, but I think a lot of this is being pushed by everybody, convenience culture, right? Everyone's ordering everything from Amazon. You got like 50 million packages, and it's the same Amazon truck that's just like moving very incrementally down the street, blocking traffic. So it might even have to be a larger conversation, like how do we change like our habits when it comes to deliveries and what's being brought into residential areas that keeps blocking all the traffic. And again, it goes back into the walkability conversation of like having things within easy access to you. So, that Amazon truck isn't blocking the street for like the same half hour. And so PPA says like these zones are allowing 730 additional commercial vehicles a day to park on these targeted blocks. That way, they have their designated area, get them in and out as smoothly as possible so that the next delivery can come through. So it's a really good way to just keep things moving. Everybody's getting a chance to just stop where they need to go just for a quick minute. Not everyone is going to be happy that we have to pay to be everywhere we go. But hopefully this does encourage people to keep it moving throughout the city. And so far, it seems like that has a positive effect.
All right, we've got more news after the break. Okay, 2026. This has been a huge year for Philadelphia with so many major events. And this fall, we've got a lot of major events happening in our art scene. Siani, tell us a little bit about what we can be looking forward to this fall when it comes to like the theater and art shows.
Yeah, so everybody's coming back from their summer break to engage you in the best of Philly's art scene. Opera Philadelphia is returning with their $11 ticket special, so you can select your price from starting at $11 to whatever you would like to pay to support opera. So that deal is back if you're looking to access arts in a more affordable way. Art and Theater is already having tickets on sale for their upcoming season. And Ensemble Arts is going to be kicking off their 26-27 season with a 25th anniversary celebration at the Kimmel Center. So that's going to be on September 19th. And be sure to go because they're offering exclusive 50% off ticket offers, along with other giveaways, tours of Marian Anderson Hall, a kids activity zone, and more. So, head over to that birthday party, treat yourself to a birthday gift by getting exclusive ticket deals, and then see what Broadway performances are coming to Philadelphia. But the biggest thing I'm looking forward to this September is the Philadelphia Fringe Festival. Now, this is a huge month-long event showing the best of Philly's independent art scene, and they cover all sorts of arts, from film to dance to circus arts. There's a lot of clowning around that's happening this year. So I had actually just gotten a newspaper from them. There's a big 64-page paper of the festival guide that's guiding you through September 8th through 27th of all these performances happening around the city. I'm most looking forward to Black and Indigenous Circus Week. That performance is on September 10th, but this also overlaps with the Cannonball Festival at Icebox Project Space that same month. And, I mentioned opera earlier. Opera on Tap is having a performance on September 18th. And I've been to one of their pop-up performances before. What they essentially do is bring opera to you. They typically go to different neighborhood bars and community gardens. That's where I saw a performance from them. So it's a very low-key experience while hearing the most immaculate voices that you'll ever listen to. So those are some of the types of things that you can expect from Fringe Arts. A lot of, quirky, interactive types of performances. Have you guys ever been to the Fringe Arts Festival?
It's wild. Yes. I agree with everything you said. Like, it is some of the most fun I've ever had.
It's unexpected too.
Yes, it's so unexpected. The thing I love about the Fringe, well, I love everything you said. I mean, yes. I think there was so much focus this year on the 250th and everything Trinae said at the beginning, FIFA, XYZ, that we forget how Philly is an art city. There's so much art here. There's so much culture here. And it really is created by and large by Philadelphia artists. So, if you came here for the World Cup, hopefully you went to restaurants, you got some taste of Philly. If you came here for the 250th, hopefully you went to restaurants in Old City and you got to experience that part of Philly. Come back for the fall, and Philadelphians enjoy this in the fall. Don't take advantage that you live in a city with this much art. Everything you said, but also hyper focus on the 250th. It was also this past weekend, the 15th anniversary of Black Star Film Festival.
Yes, I loved it.
An incredible cultural institution here in Philadelphia. We should not take that for granted. Fringe Festival. It's not only going to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest they've ever had. It's their 30th anniversary this year, Fringe Festival.
Yay.
And I said it's wild. It really is. Like, it's everything you can imagine. There are really small performances. I've gone to small comedy shows where like you're one of 8 people in the audience and like you actually participate with the folks. And then, some bigger things too. It's really fun. This year is also the 50th anniversary of the Mann Center in Fairmount Park. So they are programming the heck out of the Mann Center over the next number of months for the rest of the season. There are so many incredible events, in addition to many free events that you can go to and check out. And then October, I have to say this, I work in mural arts and I'm a big fan of our murals. Mural Arts Month is October. And this year, Mural Arts is always doing about 100+ projects every year. Can you imagine that? I went to a city council hearing one time because they were talking about, how much money do they want to give to different things. And I think it was Jim Harity said, every dollar you give Mural Arts, you get like $1 million back. They do so much with the dollars they get from the city and from, private donation XYZ. And because of 2026 and all this sort of focus on Philly this year, they did even more projects than they normally do. So this October, Mural Arts Month will be so much to do and see. So yeah, 2026 is far from over.
I love it. What I heard y'all say, I heard 2 different things. One, the Fringe Festival is giving out a newspaper. Don't you just love having that? Again, it's going back to our conversation in the first segment where it's like, all right, enough with the technology. I want to have like a physical thing that I can touch and feel and maybe use as a scrapbook. So this year is going to be huge. And like, it's going to be so memorable too, that Fringe Festival is celebrating their 30th anniversary. I went to the Black Star Film Fest. I love saving like my press passes so that, I can look back at it and say like, look at all the cool stuff I got to do. And I heard another thing, and it's about access. And I think that sometimes when we hear like art and theater, it could come off as, can I join in on this? Is this affordable for my budget? And I feel like a lot of the institutions in the city think about access and they think about how can we get new generations, new communities in our spaces. And so definitely look out for these discounts. You can use your Septic Key card. You can use your access card. And you can go to the Independence Visitor Center and check out the TKTS Philadelphia ticket booth because they offer 30 to 50% off discounted tickets to shows and live performances here in the city. So definitely check that out. You can also give them a call at 267-514-4758 to check out what shows are available that you can go to. So you can never say that I'm bored in the city because there's tons of stuff to do.
And Trinae, absolutely everything you said. And even just like the easiest thing to do, if you have some friends in from out of town and you've all spent all your money and you just go to the Institute for Contemporary Art in West Philly, like it's always free. There's always really captivating exhibitions there, really thought-provoking exhibitions. So yeah, if you have some friends coming in and you're like, what's the quick, easy thing I can do? But everything Trinae said too, like a lot of these places like have free programming, like, is the Mann Center always free? No, but they're going to have a block party here or there, like a different event. And the Fringe, I'll just tell you, as someone who's gone to the Fringe many, many years, it can be a little intimidating because there are literally hundreds of things happening over the course of those few weeks. So I would say if you're going to go alone or you're going to get some friends, pick a date, go to their website, and then there'll probably be 50 things happening. And yeah, you can select based off neighborhood. You can select based off of like maybe what is most interesting to you. Oftentimes there's all kinds of themes explored in these. There's a lot of LGBTQ themes. You can pick theater or more immersive things, or you can work around sort of whatever your budget is. Because as Trinae said, especially with Fringe, there's a wide range of budgets that are there. And yeah, everyone's welcome to everything. Art is just like a way to explore the world. We have science, we have religion, we have all these different ways that like we explore this massive universe that we're in. And art is, I think, one of the funnest ways to do that. It's just when a floating rock flying through space. How do we think about that? And art is just trying to think about it all.
And Philly is the best city to do so. All right.
I believe so.
Conrad and Siani, thank you so much for joining me on this episode of CityCast Philly.
Get out there, guys.
That That's all for us today here on CityCast Philly. If you enjoyed this episode, share this with a friend. Also, rate the show, leave us a review, and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to sign up for our morning newsletter to learn more about what else Philly's talking about. And don't forget, you can support the show and get that tote bag and get some other perks by becoming a CityCast Philly neighbor at membership.citycast.fm/Philly. All right, we'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Bye.